After 7 years of waiting, the Special Criminal Court of the Central African Republic is finally set to open its first trial. The trial is seen by many as a step in what could be a critical moment in fostering accountability in a country scarred by decades of violence. The court, known by its French acronym CPS, was set up in the capital Bangui to prosecute war crimes, genocide, and other crimes against humanity committed in the country since 2003. The case on Monday involved three suspects: Issa Sallet Adoum, also known as Bozize, Ousman, Yaouba, and Mahamat Tahir, who were members of the Reclamation, Rehabilitation, also known as 3R, one of the most powerful rebel movements in the country. They're accused of being responsible for the massacre of 46 civilians in two villages near the northwestern town of Tahir in May of 2019. Joining me now to help us unpack this is Lewis Mudge. He's Central Africa Director at Human Rights Watch New York. Good to see you, Lewis. And quickly here, a special criminal court of CAR set up to prosecute war crimes, genocide, and other crimes against humanity committed in the country far back 2003. Finally opened, long time in coming. And that's his first trial today. So tell us, how did the proceedings go?
Well, as you said, long time in coming, and an exciting day. The proceedings, not surprisingly, were somewhat administrative. The trial officially opened, but it was then the defense announced they needed more time to consult with their clients. And so the trial has opened, but it has already been pushed back to May 16th. So good news in the sense that this court, which for so many years has been a real push uphill, finally got across the line and is officially running in a trial, an important trial as well. But, you know, to be expected, a bit of an administrative blip, and the trial will recommence next month.
Now, let's talk more about this good news. What's the significance of a criminal court inside the Central African Republic, where the rule of law has been battered for years of intercommunal fighting and broken ceasefire agreements?
Yeah, as you rightly pointed out, the violence in the Central African Republic really has been ongoing since independence, but it's been particularly acute over the last 10 years. The reason why this court is so important is there's a variety of reasons. Number one, this court is a new structure. This is a hybrid court made up of both national and international judges and prosecutors. So this does give a level of independence to the court that hitherto has been lacking in a judiciary in the Central African Republic, which for many years wasn't even operational and has been unfortunately mired by allegations of corruption. Number two, this court has the support that is needed from this international backing, from the United Nations, from the United Nations Development Program, and from the peacekeepers who are on the ground to actually conduct its investigations. Number three, this is a court that, while it has this international component, number one, is based in Bangui, and that's very important so people can see justice delivered in Bangui. And number two, this court is actually enshrined in the national law. So while it does have these international components, it certainly is regarded in Bangui as a national court, as one of their own. But I think finally, and this is to your earlier point, the violence in the Central African Republic is driven by impunity. The simple fact is that the warlords who continue to control much of the country don't feel or fear any repercussions for the serious human rights abuses they've committed. This court case that just started today is a massacre that unfolded in 2019 that we went and we were on the ground. Myself, I was on the ground. And it's shocking this sort of boldness of these rebel groups in just cutting down people and massacring people, and how they feel that there's no consequences whatsoever to these killings. And this is a real turning point. This court marks the first time in many, many years in the Central African Republic that there's a real accountability mechanism to hold people responsible for these very, very serious crimes, these war crimes. And the fact is that we at Human Rights Watch, along with many other partners both in the Central African Republic and in the international sphere, feel that addressing this impunity is going to be the most effective way of stemming the violence.
You know, listening to you, Lewis, no doubt this will actually take out impunity. But again, looking more deeply into the special court, are we sure it will give hope and confidence to all the victims of crimes that have long gone unpunished?
Look, we're talking about a country that's been affected by such serious crimes that it's going to be impossible to address all of them. We have, depending on what day of the week it is, you have between 12 and 15 armed groups operating in the Central African Republic. You have international forces also committing abuse. You have members of the national military committing abuse. It will be impossible to address all of the victims. The International Criminal Court, based far away in the Netherlands, has opened up a few cases. What we sincerely hope, and what we think is going to happen is that the Special Criminal Court that's on the ground is going to provide another layer of justice, another supplemental means of holding serious perpetrators accountable for their alleged crimes. Is it going to address everybody? Absolutely not. We're talking about hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people who've been displaced, hundreds of thousands who've been acutely affected by the violence, and tens of thousands who've been killed. So we'll never achieve those numbers. But this does mark an optimistic day in the Central African Republic in terms of rendering justice.
No doubt it's a first step in a journey to righting wrongs. Lewis Mudge, many thanks for your time.
Thank you.